What's up guys, welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. So I just filmed a little announcement video. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll go ahead and throw a card up now. But some exciting news, so make sure to go check that out. We are back on the KZ project today, and the name of the game is going to be rear fenders, and then probably pulling the back half of this apart to start to paint it. So we had a couple of different potential fender options. These are all ones that I've had from previous builds. They're up in the attic, so I kind of pulled them all down, put them up on the bike. This one is a front fender. It's just a little bit too small, especially for that knobby tire we have in the back. I'm 99% sure this is the stock KZ fender, and it's just a little bit too like platypus-like, I want to call it. It's like a little too flat and kind of flared out and doesn't seem to fit very well. This one fits great, so we were gonna run with this, and then I went digging through my parts drawer because I remembered, and those of you OG viewers who watched the Barn to Brat project, when we were thinking about doing a fender on that, this is the one we made, which was out of, this is a CB550 rear fender. So this is actually going to work out pretty well for us. It's already part of the way trimmed out. So let me show you kind of what it looks like on the bike and how we're going to mount it. So for mounting, I think it's going to work out pretty well about right here. So it's just going to stick out a couple of inches from the back. Just give us a little bit of that finished look. Again, in theory, protect some of our back from slinging rocks and dirt. So basically right where this cut is, I'm going to put it just in front of where the frame ends. So it'll stay nice and clean there. For mounts, there are already two threaded holes on the fender itself here. I believe this is where like the tail light mounted before. So they already have kind of built-in nuts on the back. What I'm thinking is right here on the back of this frame hoop, we can just weld like a flat bar kind of straight across, drill two holes in it that match up with these, and we can just run two bolts straight down. And that will mount our fender literally right there. So it'll be held tight up against the frame hoop. It'll give us nice, easy mounting. It should work out perfect. Went ahead and just threw welds on each side up here. Same thing on the bottom. I just want to make a quick mention of my new welding helmet. I just did a MIG on this because I'm out of argon, but I got this new helmet. My wife actually bought it for me for my birthday. I was having issues with my old helmet. It's just like one of the kind of generic, you know, $50, $60 ones you can buy off Amazon. It worked well for the last couple of years, but it started to darken, and in the middle of my TIG weld, it would stop darkening. It would brighten again, I guess. And obviously that's terrible for your eyes if you're just in the middle of welding, you know, a foot away from your eyes, and all of a sudden the helmet doesn't get dark anymore. So it was time to retire that one, and I decided it was you know, worth the investment for safety to get a high quality one. So this one is about, you know, 6 times more expensive than that one, but phenomenal as far as just the clarity. When you're welding, you can still see so much. I'll throw this on my Amazon link down below if you guys want to check it out. Again, it is expensive, but so far it's been fantastic. Two quick holes drilled through. Now we can put the seat on. Give you guys the upward angle of, you know, what it would look like if you were walking up to the bike. I think it looks pretty good. So obviously it's not doing much as far as protection in here. I'll have to kind of play that by ear and see if we end up wanting to put something. The problem is whatever I put there is going to be so like, I guess, bulbous so that it doesn't contact the tire, you know, during the suspension travel. This is already cutting down on our travel a little bit. So I don't know. You Scrambler guys can kind of tell me what you think as far as if we're going to need something in here to kind of prevent. Obviously this is going to stop some rocks from coming up over, but it's not going to do much for like throwing stuff this direction. So again, it'll be one of those things that we may have to kind of tweak after the first couple of rides, but I wanted to kind of knock it out since we are going to go ahead and paint the back half of this frame here. So we're going to start pulling apart the back end of the bike so that we can paint this frame. So I always get asked what paint I use. So this is a VHT roll bar and chassis paint. It's what I use for the frame on all of my bikes. It's what I use for the whole entire hardtail frame. And so I'll throw a link to this in the description as well if you're curious. It's a little bit expensive for spray paint, but honestly it's worth it. It's got high temperature resistance. I like to paint it and then I take the heat gun and kind of like cure it on the bike with the heat gun. And again, I have really good results. It also blends in nicely with factory paint as well. So as long as the factory paint is in decent condition on the frame, it should blend, and you know, one side's not going to look super bright in the other one. So this is a satin finish, so it should match pretty well. Now that the back half is stripped down, I'm going to clean everything up with this Duplicolor wax and grease and wax remover. That'll get rid of a lot of this kind of surface contamination, just general kind of grease and, you know, gunk that we obviously don't want underneath our paint job. The rear swing arm, I am going to hook up my new parts washer because the whole bottom of this thing is just coated in grease. And I think that's going to be the best option for us to try and clean it up. And then we do need to hit some of these rusted areas. We need to finish cutting off these brackets. So we have a decent amount of work to do as far as prep on the swing arm goes. But we are going to knock out the frame portion first, and then we'll move on to that. Got 2 coats on the frame, all nice and cured up, so that should be ready for reassembly. Same deal with the swing arm and the little brake stay as well. I am not going to go all the way to the point of putting the rear wheel on just yet because I do want to go ahead and follow some of your suggestions and just hit the wheels with kind of quadruple zero steel wool and then maybe even some chrome polish after that. See how good of condition we can get these stock wheels back into, and then we'll kind of decide, do we want to brush them, do we want to paint them, do we want to keep them the way they are. So once I do that, I'll probably throw up like a poll on my Instagram, which is @ClassicOctane, and you know, have people vote which way we go. But I can at least put this like 90% of the way back together. Back half is pretty much put back together. Last thing I'm going to try and knock out on this video is just to get all of the electronics into their proper place in the electronics box. That way we can kind of get a really good idea of how clean everything is going to look and kind of make sure there's no kind of final touches or anything on the back half of the bike. I did go ahead and throw some studs in the seat. We are going to go with the wing nut method so that the seat is going to be removable should we need to access these electronics while we're out riding. So all the electronics are in their home for the last time. I do still need to replace the flasher relay because we are going to be going to LED signals, but we can do that when that time comes. Battery is nice and secure. I just stuck some of that foam I mentioned in a previous video that comes in the Sure-Eye packaging. So I just cut that, put it on the back, use the rubber mount. Everything is super secure. Seat's going to have no problem clearing everything. So now I'm going to set you guys up in the tripod and let's test all the electronics and make sure everything still works. Okay, I'll turn the key. We still need to obviously figure out the final position for this. Make sure we don't let out any black smoke or anything. Everything seems to be happy. Let's just go for headlights. Sweet, got headlight, low beam, high beam. Oh, I can see my gauges are working. Horn. Horn doesn't work. We can look into that. Let's see if it turns over. It's definitely a neutral. Still has oil in it. We have to pull the clutch. Oh yeah. Sweet. That battery has plenty of juice to turn over this big 750. So. Figured I'd give you guys a quick look at how it all came together with the seat in place. I'm super stoked with how it's turning out. It's really clean. It's you know, kind of simple. It's exactly what I wanted to pull off on the back end of this bike. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So I'm thinking for the rear fender, and I don't know if I mentioned this already, but if we decide to like brush the wheels, I'll probably brush the fender to match. If we paint the wheels black, I may keep this because it's like, you know, we're keeping a couple of chrome accents. You know, the forks are still chrome and the ring around the headlight. You know, it's fine to have little kind of pieces of chrome here and there, and this might be a good distinction. I don't want the whole entire back half of the bike to just be black. That's why I haven't painted or anything this fender just yet. I still need to figure out what I want to do with the taillight. I was thinking about doing a similar taillight that we have run on the last few bikes, which is that kind of LED strip, but honestly, I think I might want to do something a little bit different. Maybe a little taillight that just comes off and kind of sits right here. I think that could look pretty clean. I was thinking about flush mounting the signals into the back of the frames right here. Since we have this little kind of flat area, we could find like a nice, maybe nickel size amber LEDs and kind of, you know, French them in right there, so to speak. So we'll figure that out in an upcoming video. So if you guys didn't see my announcement video yesterday, I'll throw a card up. I encourage you guys to go and watch that. Pretty exciting news. Basically, you're going to be seeing a lot of me because this is my gig now. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, edit this video, get it uploaded for you guys, and we will jump right onto the next project this afternoon.